Because if you can clearly see it, and measure against these attributes that matter to a potential buyer, even if you never plan to sell, you're going to give yourself more freedom and more options throughout the journey as an entrepreneur. Okay. So I think, if you want to, regardless of the industry you're in, find the product and service the customer values and rinse and repeat it over and over and over again. Don't create the product first. Find out what the customer really wants.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and the wisdom of how they sold their first million.
What is the good, or the bad, or the ugly of the tech businesses? Is it really that easy to become a tech multimillionaire?
So look, I think your first comment is really something that people should pay attention to. That if you think that I did a survey in a review earlier this year, there are over 5.5 million businesses that are started every year in the United States. Within the first 5 years, 80% are going to fail. 80%. Okay. It's a huge number. Over 4 million businesses will fail. And you have to kind of step back and ask yourself, what's happening, right? To me, that's a catastrophic problem. That's disaster.
I'm aware. That's why we do this broadcast.
Yeah.
That's the main reason why we do this.
And what I work with entrepreneurs, the first thing that I tell them is, are you really sure that the product or service that you're offering is what the customer is asking for? Really hard at understanding the value, and we call it the UVP, right? But what is that unique value, the differentiator that customers really want? We were in a moment in the industry where we were moving from what I call the pay for point of service, the hourly pay, to a monthly subscription service for services.
Wow.
Okay. And we're in that transition thought as well. Some were deciding, I like that idea because I can normalize my expenses. Others were like, I'm not so sure. Right. And so it was a moment in time where we had to go through a period of people adopting a different buying pattern.
Behavior,
different behavior. But over time, it became very obvious that is what the customer wanted. They liked the idea of consistent expense control in their business. They saw value in that.
They can do the numbers. As long as you provide a lot of value. We're talking about Netflix.
You provide value.
As an experience.
And so I think, number one, it's really getting into the heart of what does the customer really want, regardless of the business. It can be a tech business. I was just with a friend of mine who she's cut hair. She's had a hair salon for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is not a glamorous business. Okay, she cuts hair. She does, we converted her business model to 65% of her revenue now comes from a subscription, a membership model.
Wow. I'm a big fan of the memberships.
Okay, so think about that, right? So she gets 12 months. Every month, people, regardless of whether or not people show up to get their hair cut or not, and she's got this recurring, and she's got cash flow. So, but what it did was it opened up about 15% of revenue that otherwise would not have been available to her for walk-ins. She never had 100% of her calendar booked, right?
Yeah.
So her best month, she might be getting 60% of her available calendar slots filled with appointments. Well, now she's got 65% of the revenue, which was 100% of what she was getting before, and she's getting an additional 15 to 20% of walk-in revenue. It's brilliant, right? And my point in saying that is that once you identify clearly, the products and services that people are willing to pay for, that they find value in, then you can start to think about, how do I drive margin and value into business? Now, look, I don't think any business is easy. They're all hard. Okay?
And that's the truth.
It's hard. So I used to tell some of my business partners in the early stages, when you were struggling to make payroll, or you were having to borrow money to transactions and do these types of things, I'm like, yeah, this is the glamour of owning your own business. Right? This is stuff that nobody sees. Okay, that nobody sees. But if you want to build a business with real value, okay, you're going to go through this journey. Okay. So there's, I will tell you that after my last business, I took a review. It was a pretty good sized company. It was a $60 million a year company, and it was an 8-figure transaction when we exited. And what I did was I took a step back and said, I want to define the things that all of my acquisitions had in common. And those things were very particular attributes. So I'll give you one concrete example. Revenue. When a buyer comes to your business, they look and go, how much of your revenue is one-time revenue versus how much of your revenue is recurring? Because they value it differently.
Absolutely.
Is that contract month to month? They value it differently.
How many different contracts you have, even better.
Yeah.
If you have more than one.
Attribute. Yeah, that's another great attribute, Harry, is customer concentration. Does any one customer make up more than 10% of your revenue stream? And so by I distilled it down to 15 attributes. That's what I call the exit ready method. Because if you can clearly see it and measure against these attributes that matter to a potential buyer, even if you never plan to sell, you're going to give yourself more freedom and more options throughout the journey as an entrepreneur. Okay. So I think, if you want to, regardless of the industry you're in, find the product and service the customer values and rinse and repeat it over and over and over again. Don't create the product first. Find out what the customer really wants.
Unlocking the secret value of a business. Sometimes, James, people don't know. When I ask to entrepreneurs, which business are you really in? Sometimes they say, like discovering the example of the guy with the barber shop, your client with the barber shop. Sometimes entrepreneurs need to look at the business and realize what business are they really in. They have to. You see, story of McDonald's that they thought that they was Ray Kroc was thinking that the business was in the McDonald's. Actually, was a real estate business. And there is a story. I have one client that he managed. He's the CEO around 300 supermarkets, large ones. And his kid comes and says, Dad, I want to do a game with the supermarket. And come on, don't bother me. Dad, I want to do a game with the supermarket. And then my friend took the kid to the IT developers and said, listen, can you do the game that the kids want to do so it can leave me alone? And then very quickly, it was a very easy game, like a kid. It goes inside a supermarket and starts to eat Coca-Cola, candy, blah, blah. Very simple. The mobile phone, nothing. And at the end, what happened is when you win a prize, you need to go to a supermarket and collect it. So imagine, I think that the game has, after the dad saw the potential, the game have a lot of hundreds of thousands of downloads. And all of a sudden, of course, they have supermarkets all over the country. And all of a sudden, all the kids are playing the game. And they're winning a Coca-Cola, they're winning an egg, and imagine a chocolate egg. And imagine the nightmare for the dad, for the parents, the kid telling, I need to go to collect my egg. I need to go to collect my game because I win it. So basically, the kids were driving the parents to the supermarket to collect the free game. It gets even better. When Coca-Cola and 11 and everybody find out about the game, they were giving the prices for the game to my friend for free. So they tried the product. So at the end of the day, I think he told me that because of the game of the kid, they increase about 10 or 15% sales.
Yeah.
Imagine of a large group of supermarket, and it was an 8-year-old kid with an idea. And my friend, which is, they have a building, things, and he was telling me, Harry, we have a building full of people. Figure out how we can increase
big marketing department, probably.
Then my kid come and with a crazy idea that nobody cares, and looks what happens. So on tapping the secret value of the business, I'm glad that you touch at this point. Sometimes we need someone with expertise like you, experience, because James, it's not easy to find it if you don't have experience. I'm telling you, just sharing the story of my own friend, and even in my own business, sometimes we have programs, we have business going on, and And all of a sudden find out something and the clients love it. And who gonna thought that this is what they really love?
Yeah.
And after, having different variations. So how difficult is to find this, to unlock that value, the hidden value in this business? Because let me tell you, something that you did with this beverage shop, with this hairdressing or whatever, is massive, because COVID came, is something COVID, these people are already prepared. They have an extra stream of income that is giving, like you're talking about value, the business is giving monthly revenue because of subscription that values the business a lot, but also the business kind of become more recession proof, COVID proof,
100%.
whatever change proof. So how hard is actually to unlock the value?
So let me give you an example of an entrepreneur that I was working with, and they're in the launch phase. Okay, they're just launching.
Oh my God.
And they had created set up their services. And in the dialogue with the entrepreneur, they said, well, we think it's going to cost, based on what we believe the deliverables are going to be, we think it's going to cost the customer somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000 for this engagement. Okay. And I said, okay. I said, well, why do you want to sell it to them one time? And they said, well, we need to get the capital. I said, oh, okay. I said, well, how hard do you think it's going to be to get a customer to part with $15,000 or $20,000 to a brand new company? I said, I can tell you, it's going to be hard.
Oh yeah.
I said, but what if you went to them and said, for $750 a month, I'm going to give you X deliverables every month. You're giving them the same product and service. You're giving them the exact same thing, but it's over 36 months.
Mm-hmm. So you're diminishing the risk.
Like $750 doesn't sound risky. Doesn't sound risky to me. All right. Number one. So I removed
someone that nobody knows. For someone that nobody knows.
I removed a very important barrier. Right. I removed a barrier to a yes, because I know that as a new company, there's going to be a risk concern. And so the point of making this comment, think about what are the barriers to a sale. Okay. The customers identified that they like what you're doing, but what are the barriers for them to say yes? Okay. Number one. On the flip side, I know that by generating a 36-month agreement is going to be much more valuable to my company long-term
100%
than a one-time
Absolutely.
Sale. So by walking into your business with this mindset of, I want to drive value in my business. I want to lower risk for my customers. I want to lower risk for myself. Because look, $20,000 is a big ask, right? For a brand new company. It just is. Okay. And so I have another example of an entrepreneur who she resells packaging materials to companies that ship things all over. And I said, look, what I would recommend you is, after you get your buying pattern kind of down with the particular customer, go to them with a program that you're going to have a minimum ship every month of certain materials, because you see it in their buying patterns. After 6 months, you probably know buy. Offer them an incentive to buy those things. Maybe it's at a discount. Maybe it's why? Because they're probably going to buy things above and beyond what they would normally buy from you here. And there's your opportunity to drive more margin into the transactions. But offer them an incentive, create a package for them to spend money with you on a monthly basis. Monthly
it will increase the margin. It's a great idea.
And exactly, that's where
because if you have everyone in the membership, but what everybody's going to receive monthly, now you can go to your supplier and tell, look.
That's exactly right, Harry. You go, and that was the second part of that equation, is that now you have a volume. You go back to your supplier and say, I have this volume. I want an additional discount when I go above a certain spend with you on a monthly basis. And so now you're driving margin into the business by that volume.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.